Good afternoon. Hope everybody is well as we start the new year. Our first real meeting since the swearing in. We have a new member, Mr. Bailey. Welcome. You can't hear me. What's wrong with y'all? How about now? I'll pull this thing up a little closer. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Good afternoon. Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Herbert? Here. Dr. Bustles? Here. Mr. Brennan?
Present.
Mr. McDowell? Mayor
Present.
Rickham? Oh, good afternoon. Mayor Rickham.
Here.
Thank you.
Reverend McDowell is here. He is here watching us and participating via Zoom today. With that, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Brown, since Reverend McDowell is not in person, I would ask you to bless, do a little invocation for us.
My pleasure, Mayor. If you please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, please bless this city, this community, this awakening amongst our people. Help us to focus on our needs and not our wants. Help us to focus on substance and not style. Help us to focus on purpose in this year ahead. Please bless this council to make decisions for all of Columbia. Let us be mindful of our responsibilities and our accountability to the great people of Columbia. Help us to unite, to be collaborative and purposeful in our decisions. Welcome Councilman Tyler Bailey to our table and give him the courage to support these initiatives and find his own way and path ahead. Bless our staff and all those who make Columbia work for all of our citizens. Please give us the inspiration to make 2024 the best year possible, full of life, growth, and value. In your son's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I'm getting good at this. I'm getting good.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. At this time, we would ask you all to consider adopting the agenda with the following amendments: removing item 4 from the consent agenda for discussion, which is the professional services contract for a strategic master plan and design guidelines for downtown Columbia. We will take that item up, but not on the consent agenda. And deferring item 32, which is the appointments to the Columbia Housing Authority, and adding the transportation penny sales tax to executive session as a part of item 36, receipt of legal advice relating to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A2.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more changes, concerns, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickham.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will receive public input related to the items on the agenda as outlined.
Is there anybody here who wants to speak on any item agenda that we're taking up tonight? There will be a place at the end of the agenda for any general comments, questions, complaints, compliments. We take them all.
And Mayor,
At
of
that
course,
time.
items 20 through 24, I think.
24.
are part of the zoning public hearing.
So you also can wait for those items 20 through 24, which is a public hearing. You'll have an opportunity to speak then as well on that item. Your choice is to speak now or when that item comes up during the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak at this time? Yes, ma'am.
I believe she's here
Madam President.
she's here for an item on the public hearing agenda.
She said she wanted to speak now. We'll let her speak. You can do whatever works best
Item
for you,
on the
Ms. Clark.
zoning Item. You can speak now or at that time for the zoning item.
Floor is yours, Ms. Clark.
Vivian, your preference.
Oh, yeah, I'll speak now. There may be some people that want to speak later.
Okay.
That's, that's with the Neighborhood Association who is opposed to the approval of rezoning of MLK Old Shandon at the property on Senate Street. Anybody here would like to stand that's here with the community that's in opposition? If y'all would stand. We come as a neighborhood association in opposition of the rezoning of property in the MLK Lower Waverly Shandon area, that we want to maintain the single-family district zoning of our community to ensure that the character of the MLK Lower Waverly community stay intact as a historical neighborhood. That we are concerned about the changing of the character of our community, parking issues, oversaturation of our community by rental properties and of student housing. And so we are here to state our opposition in the rezoning of the MLK Lower Waverly neighborhood, and that we stand with the aforementioned city position on not changing or redistricting single-family historical neighborhoods, and that they not be changed into a mixed residential area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Seeing no other public input at this time, oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to come before you today and support my neighborhood president by stating our opposition.
Could you state your name
Julie
for the
Hartwell.
record?
Julie Hartwell.
Ms. Hartman, thank you.
So residents of the MLK Valley Park community believe that changing the zoning of 2212 Senate Street from single-family to mixed district would negatively impact the neighborhood's historic designation and negatively impact population and parking density in the neighborhood. While there are currently duplexes in the neighborhood, most were built 30-plus years ago and grandfathered into the current single-family zone designation. The single-family zoning currently runs from the right side of Senate Street, from one side of the block, all the way back to the MLK Valley Park. And that is the section that the neighborhood wishes to retain its current 100% single-family small lot district. The homes in the neighborhood are 1- and 2-story bungalow-style homes that establish the overall historic character of our neighborhood, and that's what we wish to retain. I can vouch for the character of the neighborhood because I was born there. I attended Hand Middle School, Dreer High School, and I currently live there. I received an unsolicited call from one of the developers last evening, and I was unsure how he discovered my name or cell phone number. I was also unclear why he questioned what the issues were. When our neighbors who gathered, because we've been at this for a while, the October 12th Planning Commission meeting, which was canceled due to lack of quorum, community members who attended and voiced their opposition at the Planning Commission meeting on October the 30th, community members who attended the City Council meeting on November 21st when the item was deferred, and those who have shown up here today, we have all stated the same intent. We request that that south side of 2200 Senate Street remain zoned as 100% single-family small lot district. We believe, as the neighborhood president said, that our position is 100% in alignment with what the city stated on the October 23rd Planning Commission agenda. The summary on the agenda indicated that the city discourages the rezoning of a property to a more intense district within a single-family block. And that is precisely what is being proposed today. We do not support the slicing of one lot from among the other lots on that particular side of the street. The south side of Senate Street is crucial to us. It's critical because it begins the de facto line of demarcation that begins our neighborhood. And it is the start, as I stated earlier, of the swath of single-family lots that runs from Senate Street to MLK Park. We were informed today that a vote would not occur, but we seek your support as we seek to maintain the character of our historic neighborhood by upholding both what the city generally discourages and our specific request to keep all lots on the south side of Senate Street zoned as single-family. Thank you. Thank you.
Can we hold whoever else wants to speak on this issue till the public hearing? Because I want to make sure that your voice is heard on the record right there at the issue instead of early on. I think it makes more sense for all, if that's okay, Doctor?
I'm brief.
Huh?
Mayor, if I might, the reason, Dr. Gaddis, is because we have to actually preserve the record as part of the actual public hearing. So the reason that we ask that your comments are reflected in the actual public hearing, in the event that there's an appeal later or whatever, we have to actually reflect it as part of the public hearing once it's open. So if you don't mind us for that reason, yes, ma'am. And I was gonna see, since you already spoke, ma'am, could we have your written comments to include as part of
The
the record?
record?
Okay, if we could get that from you, that would be helpful. Thank you so much. Any other public input outside of the public hearing items?
Yes, ma'am.
Mine's kind of simple. It's about the annexation, not of theirs, but the
What number is
Agenda 21.
part of, that's what I was saying, so we
Okay.
don't mind waiting until that item. Thank you so much. Any other items for public input not on the zoning public hearing? That would be items outside of items 20 through 24. Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Future reference, let's just add that bullet point to the agenda when it says public input. It says, please,
Okay,
outside of, just so that it makes it easier for the clerk to be able to
sure.
keep all that on record.
Thank you. Council is asked to approve the December 19th, 2023 work session and council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? Any corrections? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving into a period of presentations, we have item 2, which is the Jamie Scott Fitness Day Proclamation, the Honorable Daniel J. Rickaman, Mayor.
Where is there, Mr. Scott, come on up. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. So I'm going to read this and then I'll present it and I'll allow you to have an opportunity to say a few words as well. Whereas Mr. Jamie Scott established Jamie Scott Fitness in 2008 as a small personal training and corporate wellness consulting business in Columbia. Jamie Scott Fitness has grown into a boutique gym located in Cross Hill Plaza and is celebrating 15 years of success here in our city. Yes, y'all can clap at this point. Jamie Scott has been a lifelong advocate of the community focused on approach to health and wellness, but working as a nutritional counselor, head strength coach at Hammond School and providing in-house fitness program to local businesses such as Eden's. Jamie Scott is an award-winning athlete from the University of South Carolina, holds multiple business and fitness certifications, including Goldman Sachs 10K Small Business Program, Certificate Track Certified, 200 Yoga Certified, Reebok Cycle Certified, American Fitness Professional Personal Training Certification, and an internship with the NFL Strength Program. Over the past 15 years, Jamie Scott has supported the local community through a number of philanthropic efforts and is currently introducing a new workout program to aid individuals with Parkinson's disease, as well as a host of the upcoming charity 5K run and walk event on Saturday, March 23rd to benefit Sister Care. So therefore, I, Daniel J. Rickenman, Mayor of the City of Columbia, along with my fellow members of Columbia City Council, do by here proclaim January 23rd, 2024 as Jamie Scott Fitness Day. And I want to say, Jamie, thank you, because you're exactly who we want to continue to support. Somebody who started off in business here and has grown, but doesn't forget to give back to the community that supported him and these efforts. And I'm extremely excited. We had a chance to hear more about your Parkinson's disease and having two friends who have suffered through it. My mother, who had part of it as part of her Lewy body's disease. I know the effect it has not only on the individual, but the family. And knowing that there's somebody out there that's working with them and coming up with a program to help them, especially as they plateau, as you know, is such a challenge. I just want to commend you for that, but I also want to give you an opportunity to say a few words before I present you with your proclamation.
Well, thank you for having me, Mayor. As I look across, Councilman Tina Herbert gave me one of my first loans from the city. So thank you for believing in me. It's hard to believe that it's 15 years, and I'm looking forward to, my father passed from Parkinson's a year and a half ago, so I'm adamant about getting this program going. And so we'll start mid-March, and we'll get some news from it, and we'll make it known that the program has started. And it will be at a discounted rate because we're not looking to make any money. We really want to give back to the community. And also, lastly, Sister Care. We have a 5K charity run, starts in front of our door and through that Cross Hill neighborhood. Last year, we had 350 participants. We're looking to try to get 500 this year. So I would appreciate everybody's support. All contributions go directly to Sister Care. Again, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Tina, you want to come?
Mayor, I just wanted to add, when he said 15 years, I kind of jumped because someone's getting older, it seems like. But what I was wondering, so when you all opened the other center, I took my whole team.
Yeah.
And we did cycling for a day. They hated me, but I was wondering, is any of the old staff members that are required to go to Jamie Scott Fitness for team building? Anybody here?
I think you might have lost
Yeah,
them.
see, they all left. It was a great workout, though. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Council, we are ready to take up the consent agenda items 1 through 3 and 5 through 18.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
As I read item 4, I would ask Planning and Development Services Director Krista Hampton to come forward to answer any questions. Item 4, council is asked to approve a new professional services contract for strategic master plan and design guidelines for downtown Columbia as requested by the Planning and Development Services Department on May 16, 2023. The award to MKSK Inc. in an amount not to exceed $123,000, which includes contingency. The initial term of the contract will take effect upon issuance of a notice to proceed with an end date 10 months from commencement, with the option to renew for 2 additional one-year periods. This firm is located in Greenville, South Carolina. The funding sources are outlined along with the contractor and sub-consultant participation levels. Oh, Lucinda.
We got Krista's body double here today.
Okay, no worries.
Stunt double.
Yeah, thank you, Lucinda.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of council. I'm Lucinda Statler, Planning Administrator. I just wanted to provide you with a brief background on the request for professional services today for the master plan and design guidelines for the downtown. A discussion was initiated by council in 2022 about urban design review and ways that we could improve upon the process. In light of the fact that it's been 25 years since the adoption of the City Center Master Plan and Guidelines, and over 15 years since the adoption of the Innovista Master Plan and Guidelines, staff was excited about the opportunity to embark on an update. In the years since these plans and guidelines have been adopted, as you well know, we've seen many significant changes to our capital city, including hundreds of millions of dollars in private development in our downtown, both in new construction and renovations. Major infrastructure projects have been completed and or underway. Thousands of housing units have been built downtown. The city has adopted the new Unified Development Ordinance and a comprehensive plan. Transportation has started a major shift to being shared and electric, and the COVID-19 pandemic has shifted the way cities think about living, working, and using public space. These changes necessitate a fresh look at how we coordinate public and private activities to support high-quality public space that prioritizes pedestrian activity, a dynamic public realm, and fosters urban living and economic development. As the discussion evolved over the past year, an agreed-upon approach was to have a consultant facilitate a planning process and take into account these significant changes, and to rewrite the City Center and Innovista design guidelines as a single document for the combined geographic area in a clear and streamlined format. This process will include important stakeholders to ensure an inclusive and transparent process, and build upon existing relevant planning concepts from the Innovista Master Plan, Public Space, Public Life Study, and infrastructure recommendations from Walk Bike Columbia to facilitate a vibrant, safe, and walkable downtown. We've completed the RFP process and have selected a consultant team led by MKSK to provide professional services. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
First of all, thank you for being here. And secondly, I'm very excited that we're moving forward. It's been close to almost 30 years since we've had design guideline upgrades. And I think with the changing of the times and the opportunities that are there, and obviously as we talk about traffic and we talk about walkability and all those pieces, this is a perfect time and really re-examining where we were. So I appreciate it. I'm excited that, and I've heard nothing but great things about this firm across the U.S. So I think they're the right people for the job. So I'm excited about that. Dr. Bustles?
Thank you, and thank you for that overview. So for the interest of the public, you know, the most folks that come for different zoning matters, they know about the UDO, the Unified Development Ordinance. Let's not talk in acronyms because I know that can be difficult. But just help me understand that what this will do is it will streamline some of these guidelines for these two areas into one.
Correct.
Right? And then it will ensure that there's not conflicting guidelines
Absolutely.
between those two plans, so it'll make it easier for people to be able to understand exactly how their business or idea fits into our
Absolutely.
urban core.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, because when the city center guidelines were adopted in 98, we had a very different zoning ordinance, and there was a lot of things that it was trying to address that our zoning didn't at that time. And since we do have more appropriate zoning now, this is going to, just delete anything that is confusing or overlapping and make this really just about, and it's really going to focus on the public realm as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, one more question. So I'm also very excited that we're undertaking this. I think strategic master plan is exactly what we need for Columbia. What is the exact geographic area of this study?
So basically, this is going to be combining City Center and Inta Vista. So the northern boundary is Elmwood Avenue, and right now, City Center includes parcels on both sides of Elmwood. So it's not the street, but the parcels on both sides. It's, the east is Pickens, the west side is the river, and then the south side kind of does zigzag a little bit from Blossom, and then it goes down to Catawba, because Inta Vista kind of took a chunk out of the southwest corner of City Center and then expanded it southwards. So it's those two already identified areas as one.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Brennan?
Lucinda, thank you for that wonderful summary, and I look forward to a rewrite and a reimagination. So let me talk to you, stakeholders. Let me ask you first about stakeholders with the University of South Carolina. They played a pretty major role in the initial development and imagination of the Inta Vista District. Is that fair to say?
Indeed, it was definitely a
So
partnership.
what is their role now as we look to the next 25 years of planning as to what successes we have had in that district and how I think they're going to bring back the designer Dewani to do a 2.0 version? Will they take into account what comes from this study as they reimagine the Inta Vista plan?
I mean, there's certainly a primary stakeholder in this process, so I imagine that they will be involved in this process, just like they have, gotten us involved in some of their planning processes. So they do have their own set of design guidelines for university projects, and we actually have a staff person that sits on their board so that we can better coordinate those efforts, but they will certainly be at the table and discussing anything that is proposed that would affect university plans and development for certain.
Fantastic, fantastic. Important that we keep them in mind. And then my second question to you as a stakeholder, this is very heavy in District 3, growth, downtown, traffic, transportation, pedestrian, safety. Will the design guidelines that come from this help us work with DOT, with county as we build our transportation infrastructure over the next 25 years in these downtown major corridors that feel like highways coming through our wonderful city at some times, to really channel that and have more a smarter approach to traffic calming?
Well, we'll certainly be coordinating with DOT when any recommendations include in the right-of-way. The public realm is the focus of this. The design guidelines are largely focused on how do we coordinate private development projects and review those when they, and how they interface with the right-of-way. So we do have an item in here that's curb management. So we hope the consultant will be helping us to at least get some general guidance and best practices for curb management, because that is one of our, biggest challenges with the new transportation and different things that we're seeing. So, but certainly DOT will be in that conversation as well, particularly if there are recommendations that would affect rights of way. It's not a traffic study per se, but all of that will be considered as part of the
But it can
planning
give us a good profile of the density that's coming our way from the growth of our city.
Certainly.
Okay, great.
And I would add to that, I think this is the perfect opportunity for us to get that ULI study that was started in 2014 completed, because it really did look at those traffic patterns, how to create the walkability, looking at why we have 4 lanes on Sumter and Marion, and how do we really bring together the Vista, the Main Street, North Main, and the other areas and come back. And so I think, this is a perfect time as we're doing this guidelines really to dig up that study and try to get it finished, because I think it addresses a lot of the issues that you're talking about. And, these are studies that we're already knee-deep in and had a lot of public input. And so we need to utilize these assets that we have. So I think it'd be a great time for
Yes,
us to
yeah,
look
I
at
agree,
finishing
Mr.
that. Thank you, Lucinda. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve?
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. I think questions have all been asked. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
One, consideration of bids, contracts, and change orders. Item 19, which is an approval for a change order number 2 for project WM 3872, the water system improvements along Reimer Pond Road and Hardscrabble Road, as requested by Columbia Water. On November 11th, 2023, the award to LAT Construction LLC in the amount of $2,801,463.08. The current term of the contract ends on February 14th, 2024, and this change order extends the contract to February 14th, 2025. The firm is located in Swansea, South Carolina. If there are any questions, we are happy to answer them. A new protocol we're going to put into place, Mayor, is to have contracts that are $10 million and over, not on the consent agenda, in case you all wanted to highlight those fairly large procurements that we've done a solicitation on, and also any change orders or amendments to contracts that are $2 million and above. So this item would fall in that category.
Because of the amount it is, I do think it'd be great if Ms. Higgins could just explain for the public's edification why this increase and the changes that were necessary for this contract.
Yes, sir.
And I had one quick question, Ms. Wilson. You said any project over 10 million?
Yes, ma'am, 10 million and above.
May I begin, Ms. Wilson?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Data, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Thank y'all for letting me come and talk to you today. This project we bid back in 2021 is one of our main transmission lines for our city water system to push out water out into the northeast area where we have a lot of growth. The design was done earlier. We had easement acquisition. Once we got the contractor out there have been a lot of utilities that have been in our easement. We've had Dominion that we've had to relocate with them. We've also had to deal with the town of Winsboro water line. There's 16 homes along our route that were constructed right on the edge of our easement, and it's a 42-inch water line, so we had to add some vibration testing. And we also have, Hardscrabble has done the road widening project, so our bores are a little bit longer because the road's been widened. So most of everything on Hardscrabble's been done, other than the intersection of Reimer Pond and Hardscrabble, and everything from Longtown over to our tank has been done. So just the 24-inch section right now. This will help with the time extension, materials, and the additional bores. I'm happy to answer any questions. We don't take these lightly. This is a large one.
Yeah, and I think it's important is the write-up that we received that the public understand about, you mentioned the relocation of the town of Winsboro's water line, the material delays, obviously, but the roadway projects considerably affected that. And then the explosive development in the area changed kind of the plans, because these plans were actually developed in 2020.
Right. Yeah, actually before that.
Yeah.
So
they were already out of date when we went. And I guess the question would be, going on in the future, how can we help try to anticipate that? Can we build in future for that as we see? Because it does, and I think for people to understand is it takes a long time to get the engineering done.
absolutely.
Then you got to go out for procurement. Then you got to award it, negotiate it, and bid it, and then actually get to the construction phase.
Absolutely, and we actually have a consultant that we are bringing on board to help us with our, update our water model and looking at growth throughout the area to try to anticipate these kind of needs.
Great. Any questions from council?
I guess my only question is, so
Dana.
is most of this extra labor cost or material cost, or what is the greater majority of the extra? Because I understand that everything's more expensive
Right.
today than it was 4 years ago, so.
So we had some upgraded water line. We have 42-inch water line that we added about 180 feet of to serve that area for the transmission line. We also have several bores that are expensive. DOT doesn't like us to cut their new pavement, unfortunately. They got there before we did. So those add up. The bores are actually very expensive as well. and then the testing during construction. Water line for the Winsboro relocation was $577,000. That is something that we try to negotiate, just to see if we could take their customers and cut their water line off, because that's kind of the end of their system. But they wanted us to pay them for that. So it just unfortunately ended up being part of our project to have to get them out of our way.
Okay, thank you.
I believe Reverend McDowell was attempting to speak as well.
Reverend McDowell, did you have a question?
Yes, Dana, let me ask you a question. You said initially that we would build in the future. How do we build in the future? Do we build in the future financially? Where does that come from?
Well, we do forecasting, trying to figure out where the growth is going to be when we are doing our large transmission projects. That's how this was actually originally conceived. So we're just being more aggressive with our water model and trying to make sure that we meet the demands as the city grows, especially with Scout Motors coming. There's a lot of growth going on towards the Blythewood area. Does that answer your question, Councilman?
Do you have any idea how that perhaps would look financially?
As far as the construction piece?
Yes.
Well, the additional amount of work that we have that's going to, the large amount of growth out there is, let's see. We've got about 500,000 of the change order for the large transmission line. Is that?
Yes.
Reverend McDowell, this is Clint. I'll add a little bit to what Dana, and thank you, Dana, excellent summary. I think as we look at growth moving forward, the modeling and water planning that we're doing, and that kickoff meeting is scheduled for 2 weeks from now. It's a project that y'all have already approved, will help us plan and both financially and from an engineering design standpoint, what's needed to meet those future growth needs. And we'll have as a deliverable from that study and that model, we'll have an idea of the magnitude of investment that's needed to serve both growth and also look at replacing aging infrastructure. So that'll be an outcome of that water study.
And Clint, you may want to add, so our work ongoing with like CDM Smith and others, those big contracts that the council previously approved, it goes into that work as you're describing, that we're always looking into the future, right?
Absolutely.
That's another big contract that they've approved.
Yes, ma'am, and always trying to look forward, whether it's wastewater collection system growth and our needs at the treatment facilities or water distribution as well, so.
All right.
Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Clint.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Clint. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted
Dr.
to,
Bustles?
and I know I emphasized this as we were reviewing the agenda, but this is a large amount of money, and our role as council members is to provide that oversight. And so I want to make sure that moving forward, some of these costs are not incurred because of a lack of collaboration with DOT and these developments that are coming, because we should not be taking on those costs solely by ourselves. I mean, $3 million can go pretty far for a lot of other projects that we have. So as you're having these discussions, I think it's vital to think about how, sometimes it's historically embedded that the city's just going to take it. And to me, that's not acceptable, especially as we're seeing growth and Scouts coming in. There's got to be some cost sharing if projects are colliding and it's leading to some of these delays.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Bustles. That's a great comment. And I think syncing up the time and shortening the time between surveying, design, and going to bid for construction is really important, because that shortens the amount of time for change to happen on the ground from when the design was done. So we're really working to synchronize the capital improvement program and get the projects done in a more timely manner. But thank you for that.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We've had discussion, so Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Feel like I'm getting scolded every time I hear them call down, like I did something wrong.
I also know she wants to call me first every time, too.
Moving now into zoning and planning matters for second reading, and any citizens or others here to speak as we take up these items, please let us know. Mayor Rickaman will instruct you accordingly. Item 20 is a zoning map amendment for 1213 Pickens Street. The first reading approval was already given on this item back in December 19th, 2023.
Yeah, I won't present on this one necessarily since it is
Right,
second
second
reading.
reading. I just didn't know if you had any additional, is there anyone here to speak for or against? I think this first reading was approved by us. Hearing none, seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
The first item on your public hearing agenda is an annexation, future land use map amendment, and zoning map amendment for 4200 Old Leesburg Road and a 2-acre portion of 4257 Old Leesburg Road. The request is to annex the property, assign a land use classification of urban edge residential small lot, and a zoning of single-family small lot district. The property is currently classified as residential high density in Richland County.
I believe there was a lady here wanting to speak on this issue. Ma'am, please come forward.
Hi, my name is Mary Lynn Bear. I live at 4307 Old Leesburg Road, which is adjacent to the 2 acres that they're proposing to annex in. I realize the city needs to grow, don't get me wrong here, but I'm trying to save my house. Where 4307 sits, which is, like I said, directly one over, my dad is 4308, there is a dirt road, the little blue and the big blue area that they're trying to annex in. And we live on that dirt road. The front of our houses are less than these walls apart. It is traveled, but my fear is that they're trying to annex the 4257 2 acres to make a new entrance into this development. The blue acreage, I understand they're wanting to make 200 homes in there. Where you see the Cattle Ridge Road, Maple Teal Lane, they've put 200 more acres in. That used to be family land. My cousins owned the 99 acres. And now it's going to have 300 plus homes on it. Eventually, that dirt road would have to have some traffic study done. And if they ever pave it, like I said, one of us is going to lose our homes. It's more, don't care you put it in the city, even though it has a Hopkins address. If you pull up both parcels of that land, my mail comes out of the Hopkins post office, doesn't come anywhere near Columbia. But like I said, annexing it in, my fear down the road is what's going to happen to Old Leesburg Road.
Did you want to add anything to that?
I mean, it's been ruled, like I said, my cousins own it. It was 99 acres at one time. They came in from the backside, which was Pageant, to annex. They came in from, really that area right there is isolated in the city. If you look at a city map, they come across from Fort Jackson, across near Lester Farms Road, across back into developed Canary Woods into the city, and now they're trying to go back, and it will be a U-shaped basic area that's in the city, that's all the way out to almost Lorchland Boulevard.
Krista, do we have any additional information that addresses some of the concerns that, and I think they're valid questions. I mean, looking at the map and seeing the location of the home, have we considered that as part of our,
Certainly. So this is the Phase 4 of Canary Woods, which we have already annexed and developed the first phase, the first 3 phases. With regard to the development, I was speaking to the young woman indicating that this will be going to Planning Commission for our review of the development and subdivision. Once we have a handle on what that looks like, I will be contacting her to address those issues. I'm not yet certain of their intentions with regard to Old Leesburg Road. My understanding is that it would be rather costly for them to redevelop the entire road. So we will definitely be contacting the developers on that.
Mr. Mayor?
yes, ma'am?
So in this case, by annexing it, it gives us a little bit more oversight in the process to understand what the developer wants to do with this. Otherwise, with it being in the county, the process stops here, correct? And that's more for the public and some of the concerns that they've raised.
Correct, yes. As I've mentioned to multiple people with regard to the specific annexation, the Richland County allows this development similarly with their zoning currently. So
Okay.
it would largely happen regardless of the annexation.
Okay.
But with our process, we will have our rules and regulations in place.
Thank you.
Ms. Hampton, is it fair to say the further you go out on Leesburg Road, further into Lower Richland, less density is allowed under the county land and planning?
Once you get, there are a few parcels on this side, but largely on this side of Richland, Lower Richland Boulevard, it is medium or high-density residential in the county. Yes, once you get over Lower Richland, it's more agricultural. Our intention in our urban service area is not to annex land that is generally zoned agricultural. It is up to council in the future, but that would not be our recommendation.
And DOT currently owns Old Leesburg Road?
Well, Leesburg may be a county road. I'm not certain of that, but I could.
Do you mind coming to the mic, ma'am, just because we're recording all this? Thank you very much.
Lester Farms Road, where Old Leesburg Road comes up to Lester Farm Road, is actually already maintained by the city. From Lester Farm Road out towards the property that they're annexing is serviced by the county. It is Richland County. DOT does not do anything to our road.
So that becomes our road.
This area right here?
Yeah.
Between the two?
That's what I'm
Well,
gathering.
like I said, I know the city's got to grow. My thinking is, what is the purpose of the 4257, that little 2-acre plot of how it's going to start affecting Old Leesburg Road?
Yeah,
Because if they're,
that's my question. In the EESB, in between the two dark areas, who owns that property?
they actually own,
County,
That's a
okay.
county road.
yeah.
All right, thank you. It's the third road.
I guess that, to me, just, wow, what's the little parcel for?
Entrance.
Are there any other questions, council?
Mayor, we have one additional individual signed up to speak, Mr. Gerald Waller.
That's my dad, he probably doesn't. We were just covering our bases.
Thank you.
Under 4308, so.
Thank you.
My question would be, can the project move forward without that additional parcel there?
We'd need to consult with the developers. We certainly can do that. If you could, you've got an option to either hold first reading, or you could hold first reading tonight, subject to learning that information.
I would be inclined, if council is, to give it first reading with a subject that we have an opportunity to work with the development team to look at that. I want to be able to look at, I mean, I think what's been brought up are very valid. And to me, I've got real hesitation of annexing that little portion there. that parcel, which is the, I think the 22-114 tax map.
Yes, that's the 2-acre portion.
Yep.
If you actually go, this sale is fairly new and contingent. Like I said, it's family. If you actually go on Richland County and pull up the online map service, that 2 acres is not even cut out to have its own tax map number yet. There's actually 8.8 acres that was that lot that they're cutting 2 acres out of. And like I said, it doesn't even have its own tax number yet.
So you're saying it's very early in the development process?
Yes.
A good time to have conversations about the future of that property. Okay. Thank you.
I think traditionally, we don't like to take that up unless they have ownership of that property.
So Richland County, in their mapping online, is delayed
Behind.
significantly.
So we've got this. I would be inclined, I don't know if the development team's here, but I'd be inclined to give it first reading to understand that I'm not guaranteeing there's a second reading unless we can figure out a way to address the issues that have been brought forth. I do think they're very valid. I understand that development is there and people have sold that land, I get it. But to me, the subject of this conversation is really that 2-acre piece that's being cut off and creating a thoroughfare. And I think that unless there's going to be some infrastructure to go with that and addressed, especially, you know, as we were talking about the homes that these folks have right there, I would be inclined for a motion, we give it first reading with the subject that we meet with the development team to see if we can work something out with no guarantee on the second reading until we can come to some type of agreement.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be inclined to make that motion with the contingency that there's a little more homework we need to do on the, with the developer.
Could we have a second for that?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Procedurally, we're voting for a second reading if we're going to put this into a second reading with the caveat that we have time to talk to developers about what their intention is.
Yeah, we don't, normally you'd have a second reading 2 weeks later. Obviously, if we can't get something, we're not going to have that second reading till we can try to move something forward or even ever have a second reading. But this gives an opportunity to show faith that we're trying to work both with the developer and with the neighborhood. And hopefully we can come to the same, because it's, to me, it's really about this 2-acre parcel at the end of the day. And I think what's been brought forth to us is very valid. Obviously, you know, the maps and stuff that we have don't stress exactly the topography and obviously the location of the houses and the potential interest. And I think we need to take that in consideration if we're going to annex something in.
To me, it's also, the zoning for the county and the city is very similar. So I think what we're doing is providing our ability to provide oversight and guidance as far as this goes to kind of allay some of the concerns of this area. So I think we're actually doing a service by amending this motion to give us some more oversight into exactly what the purpose of this project is.
Any more questions or concerns?
Nothing from me.
Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Your next case is an annexation future land use map amendment and zoning map amendment for 1408 and 1412 Grove Park Lane. This is a request to annex the property, assign a land use classification of urban community activity corridor, and a zoning of mixed use 1. The property is currently zoned general commercial in Richland County.
Madam Clerk, do we have anybody signed up for this?
Yes, sir. We have Ms. Sandra Renew.
I'm Sandra Renew. I'm the business owner beside this here plot at 1404 Grove Park Lane. I'm speaking for all the business owners around there. This small lot is surrounded completely by commercial and small business. I have even offered to buy this property from this landowner and have it tore down. The building is such. They have had no permits or license and have been building on this here property for over 2 years. Have rated them for having people living on this general commercial property for commercial business.
Is that the intent? Was there anything you wanted to add on that?
The building is completely eat up with mold. They have makeshift a roof over it. I don't see how it would be even livable for someone.
What I want to understand is if you can have livability based under the zoning that they're asking for, you can.
Staff, Krista, I'm sorry. I guess 2 questions. I am concerned about the current status. Is the owner changing, or is this the same owner that's been there for 2 years?
As far as I know, the same owner.
I was asking Krista. It's no problem.
That is my understanding. I'm not aware of an ownership change.
Okay.
And I won't disagree about the condition of the property either. The intention is to make it into a duplex.
So what I am concerned about is the number of complaints. If they have been a burden to Richland County, it sounds like they may be a burden to us. So I would like to have the public hearing, but not defer the vote on this one.
I even volunteered to buy the building so I could have it tore down.
I know, but we can't.
I know.
I can't do anything about that.
And, and your first thought is well, if we annex it in, then we could put code enforcement. But even to get that, as we know, the length that it takes through the court system to deal with that, I don't think would solve your problem, but just delay the problem. So I'm with Ms. Herbert. I would be apt to finish the public hearing, but delay this for another date for us to explore and really decide if this is something that we want to annex into the city.
And Krista, if you all could just look into verifying any issues that they've had over the last, well, you did just say she was right.
The condition of the property is not optimal.
The condition, okay. I'm probably more concerned about the activity at the property than the.
Tenants, even after Richland County raided it and told them they could not live there, is still living there.
So Richland County had to raid the property.
District is that?
With small
Parks? No.
Oh,
County?
I don't.
Who's that?
I don't know county districts. Thank you.
Y'all
Thank
done
you,
with
ma'am.
me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you for
ma'am.
your help.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak on this item? Ms. Herbert, I'll entertain a motion if you got one.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir,
Krista,
Mr.
do you have
Biley.
any documented violations from the owners of that property from Richland County?
No, sir, we don't necessarily have that as part of our annexation process, but we can certainly, we'll review those as directed, certainly.
And so I'm asking to defer the vote today. Do I need to make a motion to defer the vote?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to move on item 22, as we have conducted the public hearing to defer first reading to our next council meeting,
That would be February 6th,
or the next time we do
right?
your stuff.
This one would be February 6th.
Yes, and we'll provide a status if we don't have enough information, we can defer it further.
Okay, thank you.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
So you now are in a zoning map amendment, and you have heard from some folks on this one, and so we will continue on with the zoning map amendment of 2212 Senate Street. It is a request to rezone the property from residential single-family small lot in the Old Shandon Lower Waverly Historic District to residential mixed remaining in the Old Shandon Lower Waverly Historic District.
And I would ask that we pick up where we left with Dr. Gaddis.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Bambi Gaddis. I reside at 904 Oak Street. 32 years, actually. So I'll be brief. Let me note, as I look at item number 23, and I note staff recommendation as approved or approval, as that is a backdrop, we believe in the fidelity of family. We believe in the legacy of historical single-family households. Our appeal is based on our belief that there's been a chipping away of those structures and those beliefs and the legacy of our community. That being said, 3 requests. 1, we again maintain that there be strict confinement of the MLK Lower Waverly to R1 or residential single-family developments only. Number 2, we would ask for some consideration that would require developers that are seeking to build new construction in our area or other historical communities to show evidence of community engagement, requiring the developers to engage the presidents of the designated neighborhood associations and or the citizens in that community prior to and or certainly before it goes before planning committees and before you members of city council. Finally, given the geographical considerations of our community, MLK Lower Waverly, we again express our level of discontent about the necessity to make ongoing and continuous appeals for intervention from the city. For those of you that may not recall, we recently made an appeal for a decision and approval that was given to a business who were parking gas trucks and diesels and behind a church and neighborhood communities. We had to make an appeal. In that spirit, we're asking that our community be looked upon as others where that would probably not be tolerated. We encourage those members of council who rarely reach out to our community until election time to recommit their level of enthusiasm, to create an intention this year during 2024 to at least attend one association meeting, to meet our local community members and hear from us directly, and finally make a concerted effort to remind us why we placed them in office through our vote. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question for Dr. Gaddis. Are you saying, based on what you read, that the developer did not reach out to the neighborhood association?
When we attended the planning committee meeting, it was stated that they had talked to community. Our question for those of us that were present was, when did that occur? Of course, we would first convene with our president, Vivian Armstead. She had no record of any appeals or any overtures made to her on our behalf. So I'm not clear who they spoke with. We questioned that, but that was not the venue or the timing for us to make that appeal, which is why we're here today.
And since that time, there has not been an appeal?
Only the appeal that Ms. Hartwell spoke of when she was called last night by someone who indicated that he had met us at the last meeting, and to my recollection, her response was, "We don't recall such a meeting," meaning there was no official attempt to introduce themselves to anyone that was in the group that attended that planning meeting.
Thank you.
Dr. Gaddis,
Yes.
question. What are some of the concerns that you had with the change in zoning for that property and what some of the neighbors have given you about their concerns?
I think it's been said pretty articulately from those who've already spoken. I don't want to be redundant in my comments. All I can say on a personal note is that I have a 43-year-old daughter who was born and was raised since 1992 on Pine Street, on Oak Street. Prior to our residence, we lived on Pine, which was Upper Waverly. So we've been in that community for as long as I've lived in this city. So we've had the opportunity to watch it. We are not against development. We are not against progression. What we are appealing for is some sensitivity and support for what is left of MLK Lower Waverly, so that we can maintain single-family housing, so that when my great-grandchildren come back and continue as they do now to come to our neighborhood, I can say, I can talk to them about what the legacy of MLK was really about. And they can see it in front of them, that families still reside there.
Thank you.
Reverend McDowell, I know you wanted to say something before we bring up the next speaker.
Mr. Mayor, let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Is this a public hearing?
Yes, sir.
All right, if this is a public hearing, that means that no vote will be taken today, right?
Sir, your request was that we have a public hearing at this time, and that is it, and we're going to honor that request.
All right. Aren't we scheduled to vote on this February 6th?
We haven't scheduled to vote it on any time at this point. Today, we're just
All right,
having a
good.
public hearing at your request. And I think one of the things you wanted us to follow is to hear from the community. And then.
That's correct.
And that's what we're doing. And I know you wanted to say a few things, so I wanted to make sure you were heard.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We can continue.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mayor, I have an extensive list, but Mrs. Bivens is next on the list.
Good evening, everyone. I can go further back than Dr. Gaddis. 5 generations of my family have lived in Waverly. The first house bought in my family was in 1925. The second was 1937. And so 5 generations of us have lived there. When the thing that bothers me the most is when all of us who stayed there, we didn't have to leave Waverly for any services except to go to Taps and get clothes and shoes. Now, I do believe in progress, but we want to keep our community to single-family homes. The thing that bothers me the most, council people, is that people who come, developers who come, used to come to our president and ask to talk to us in the community. All of us, the reason that some people are not there now and you don't see as many is because of death and marriage. People move to other places. We are now working on people who own the houses there that have been left undone. They are coming back and rehabilitating. Is that some, like CHD and TN, these people have come to us, brought their plans, and showed us the houses and different things, and we'd like for any developer to do that for us. But now I may under the bottom here, it says the staff recommendations are approved. Am I reading it wrong? Does it, what staff? Are they calling the council staff? Oh, okay. Well, I'm just asking because none of them who are coming to build the houses are going to live in our community. When I wanted to do my house over, and I went downtown, I wanted a circular driveway, and I wanted to expand my house another 30 feet to the 2 lots. They told me no, because it was a historic district, and we wanted to conform to how it was. Okay, if I can do that, I'm satisfied with my house. Instead of going width, I went length. So I'm satisfied with it. But then I don't want to mix, whatever they're calling this now. I want single-family homes back in there. And since I'm one of the older members in the community, people, ask all of us how it was. I want to still maintain that. Just like she mentioned about trucks, we had to ask you all to take the trucks out. I'm over.
Yeah, but if I remember the trucks, though, just a clarification, the trucks,
You
that
did
guy
get them
was-
out.
Yeah,
But
that guy was
somebody
parking
put them
illegally
in there
right?
first without even consulting us.
He didn't consult us either.
Okay, well, you got them out. I'm proud of that.
So
But
wanna be
I'm
fair, we
saying
didn't
now,
leave you
I
hanging.
want you to also ask these people to come and talk to us about how we would like it. The church even wanted to put something up that said C4. We said no. So it's not there. You can improve on something if you want to, but you can't have a C4 in there and then move and they put a McDonald's in our neighborhood. So it's not that we don't know some things we don't know. But please pay attention to what we who are living there. All of us could have moved out and moved up northeast or somewhere else, but we didn't. That means we love it. We want to continue to maintain it, but please listen to us. Even though people come to you, I don't think you can say, no, you can't do this, but you do have to talk to the community first. Now, I understand that at-large people, along with my Mayor Pro Tem, looks out for all communities. So the people who are at large, please pay attention to us also. Now, I always want to talk about my mother and father who lived there. They did so much work at the community along with others that she even got the Palmetto Award, a Palmetto, whatever they call for South Carolina.
The Order of the Palmetto.
Order of Palmetto. So, and they were the first ones to vote in that area in 1947, when voters used to walk and the lines would be all around the block. Well, it's not that way anymore because people have died out and moved, but it's not that we don't vote. And when you come to us, we used to have police presence that would come and sit in our community and talk to us, fire people, and even our council persons. Well, we don't get that much anymore. We wouldn't mind having it so you would be up to date on what's going on with us. I didn't mean to take up so much time, except that we want one family houses, please, not mixed. Also, you have two group that we have already seen, and we'd like for you to approve that, if you will, all those houses that came to our meeting. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's good to see you.
You're welcome.
I'm Vidia Counts. I live on Pendleton Street, and my family home's right along with Minnie. My mother was born in 1918. She started school and went all the way through school here in Columbia. In the same house I'm in, is where she lived. Her sisters, all of them stayed there. My grandfather bought that home so his kids could go to college. Numerous people in the area, they went to college. Just about everybody was a teacher. Numerous teachers. The house down the street, Mr. Hampton, lived in that community. I remember as a small child, he was one of the ones that worked with some of the first black newspapers. Our community had a lot of wonderful people, and we still do. We just want respect for who we are, for our ancestors, and for our future children. as any other historical neighborhood. That's what we want. We want single family. We don't want mixed residential. It's numerous places that could be done, and not just in our community, but in Columbia in general, wherever it's a historic district. Just tell them, no, there's places that's not. Build something out of the way there. But I would like to see the city stand up and tell anybody, anywhere, that you respect all of your historic districts and all the people there. Thank you.
Mayor, next, Miss Ashlyn Brisley has signed up to speak.
Maybe not.
How you doing? Hey,
Miss
my name is-
Ashley, you looking
my name is-
fine this evening.
Yeah, my name is Bobby Taylor. I stay right across from this park, this lot. And I'm 75 years old. I can sit on the porch now and enjoy the neighborhood. And when my great grandbaby comes, we sit on the porch and play this little game. What go this way is hers, what go this way is mine. I want to keep that. When you start building apartments in there, you don't know what you might get. It may be all right now, but once that little seed blossom, then the loud music, the cars, the shooting. I mean, let's tell the truth. That's what happens. And the only thing them people that build these apartments think about is the check in the mail. They're not concerned about us. They're not concerned about our historic neighborhood. They're just concerned about is the check in the mail. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Mayor, Miss Ashlyn Brisley signed up to speak.
Hi. My name is Ashlyn Brisley. I am the resident of 2226 Senate Street, which is the exact neighbor of the lot in question. So on each side of my house, I have those two lots, the one in question and the one on my left that is also empty. You've heard about the historic aspect of this property and this location. I want to talk about the present, the developer, and the future of this location as well. I have met the developer because he's been on my lot previous to me, so he's talked to me. He's told me how he owns the other multi-family lot down the street that he just built, how tiny it is, how just he had to squeeze it into this itty-bitty lot. It's a cement block building right across from another cement block building. There's one that's taupe, there's one that's blue. The one that's blue has a bunch of trash outside, has a bunch of dogs tied up outside, has a bunch of shutters missing. And then you have the one across from it. And you say that he is going to keep within the look of historic Waverly. And I disagree that he will, because I've seen his work, I've seen what it looks like, and it's also within a hole that is likely to flood as well. So I have concerns about the developer. But let's talk about the future of this area. This area is like Broad Street in Augusta, Georgia. This is an up-and-coming area that people want to invest in. There's a historic house right across from me. I've also met them as well because I walk my dog a lot. They are looking to buy that house, this dilapidated house, this gorgeous house. They want to fix it up. They want to invest in the single-family homes that are left to rot here. So this is an up-and-coming area for young professionals, for people who want to live near the college, near 5 Points where businesses are booming. So why would we put in a mixed residential house right in the middle of this? This will be an eyesore in 5 years. 5 years tops. I don't know how old that blue one is. It's already an eyesore. You're going to regret it. And I say that because the station, 5-minute walk. So who is going to be living in this? Students aren't going to be living in this housing when the station's 5 minutes away from here. Young professionals are not going to be living in this housing. Who is going to be living in this housing, this multifamily housing? The people who I've met while I walk across the street, they are not young professionals or students looking to buy into that cement block building that's already there. I'm concerned as somebody who lives alone. As you can even see back here, we're mostly women that live here as well. We want to be able to kind of control who is coming into this area for our safety. And so when you have multifamily housing, you cannot control that as well, especially if it's a lower income housing as well. We don't know who's going to be moving in here. We prefer single-family housing.
Thank you. Can we just get a hand of all the people who are opposed to this, just to make it easier? Thank you. You can't yell from the back row. You either got to come up or you got to be quiet, one or the other. I know who it is.
Miss Pamela Mack.
Miss Mack, did you want to speak or are you good? Thank you, ma'am. Peanut gallery in the back row to the left.
We have a Mr. Mack.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Milton Mack. I live at 814 Oak Street with my wife Pamela Mack. It's hard to follow the rest of these strong ladies that live in our community.
You're a brave man to try to do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's
I'm just
right.
going to be honest with you.
But I believe if we don't stand for something, we'll fall for anything. Our community, I like to know who my neighbor is. I don't need to have renters trying to guess who's living to me next year, the following year. Preserving the community I know Mr. Bailey asked the question, what issues do we have? When you have a renter that's living next to you, you might have 3 or 4 renters in that particular housing. Where's the parking? Where are they gonna park? The people who live there, where do they park? They don't have a park because you've got 4, 5 people living in one house, not to mention whoever else they might have over. But again, we have a family. I have a daughter. We love our community. I live next door to Mr. Carter, who actually loves Lower Waverly. So we're here to fight, and we'll continue to
Not
fight.
Phil Carter, is it?
Huh?
It's not Phil, is it?
Yeah, yeah, Mr. Carter, yeah. No, not Phil Carter, the other Mr. Carter that's passed, but Durham Carter.
Durham.
But we're here to fight. We'll continue to fight for our community, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Joe Weidman.
Mr. Wiseman?
I think I'm the only one here today to speak on behalf of Tim Webb. I don't want to turn my back this way and talk to y'all. Sorry. Can y'all hear me still? So I know there's been a lot of talk today about legacy. Legacy is really, really important. Legacy is something as an African American we're all proud of. Tim Webb, one of the people that's the developer for this project, is one of my good friends. Tim grew up here in Columbia, South Carolina. He's currently in Virginia right now because his family was military. His dad retired from Fort Jackson. One of the goals that Tim tries to do is to go into communities that are usually minority communities and help provide value to those communities. He tries to talk to people that he considers his friends, his brothers, his mentors, and say, hey, do you think this is a good idea? He usually tries to pick a community that he sees as a part of himself. Don't know the property that the young lady was talking about. Hopefully she can put that address on the record. Because when I was texting Tim, he had no idea what she was talking about. I've been to a lot of his properties. When I say he is that kind of person that puts in a lot of work, blood, sweat, and tears. He's developed in historic neighborhoods before. He's helped some of my clients out when they've needed a place to stay, to actually help them provide somewhere that's living. One of his properties right now, as soon as you come in on Bull Street, if you look off to the right, the property that has the greenhouse that's across from the Starbucks, that's one of his properties that he's done. He has a mom and a daughter living in those properties. That's part of his goal, is to build these houses so that he can empower young, mainly minority people to have some kind of ownership, to be able to provide for them. He's a really good dude. He's willing to meet with y'all, sit down and talk, hear the concerns that you have, and then see if y'all can move forward. But I respect everything that y'all saying. He's not some outside developer that's coming in from outside the state. I mean, he's born and raised here. He went to USC, he's a Kappa.
Yep.
So he means well. And I just want y'all to get to know him as the person. And I understand about keeping tradition. But at the same time, as the younger generation is coming up, all we want to do is see our tradition continue on to help build value. Because a lot of times, especially in Columbia, it gets left behind and other things get developed. And sometimes our communities don't get developed. That is what he's about. If anybody wants to talk to me, you can talk to me when we leave. If y'all want to sit down and talk to him, I'll make that happen. I'm like his big brother. Say, hey man, just go talk to him. Y'all might not agree, but at least y'all can feel each other out and you can know that in his heart, he's trying to do the right thing. And he's really trying to bring some value back to a community that he sees as part of himself. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
No one else has signed up to speak on this item.
All right, so
I do.
we're not taking sir, please.
Good evening. My name is Miles Madden. I am one of the partners with Felix Allen Capital. We're a development firm based here in Columbia, but then we also have a presence in the upstate of South Carolina, which is what I lead up. I'm the business partner of Timothy Webb, which that gentleman just talked about. So I did want to give a little bit of clarity and kind of speak to what we're trying to do as a group. And kind of similar, and I'll turn this way as well, because I do want to speak to.
We respectfully
Upstairs.
ask for you to speak into the mic and face the
Okay.
council, please.
Okay, so our goal in terms of what we're trying to do is we're trying to invest in a community that we understand has not had a significant amount of investment. That is our goal. That's similar to what the other gentleman said about other areas that we've invested in, specifically here in Columbia, but then also in the upstate as well. I know we're talking about Columbia, but that's our goal. We want to invest in. And so what we're looking to do and what we're aiming to do is to provide value to the community. We understand that there's a housing shortage across the country. And so what we're looking to do is provide housing, not just for one family, but for multiple families. So when we saw this property and we saw the community, already a mix of multifamily homes and also single-family homes. And so we wanted to continue that structure. And so that was our goal. Our ultimate goal is to provide value to the community, to invest in the community previously. Now, to some of the comments that have been made, the cement building, that's an eyesore. That's not a part of our firm. That's not a property that we own. And I would love for that to be in the record, because that's not something that we own. That was my first time actually hearing of that. And I also hear the feedback from the community. I think some of the points that they make are fair. We've reached out to multiple members at the community. Actually, in the planning, when we met with the Planning Commission, we had other property owners within that community with us as well. So we're not opposed to sitting down and meeting with the community to understand their concerns. As I said, we understand that some of them are fair. When we talk about parking, if you look at that lot, it's a very long lot. And what that does is it gives us the flexibility to address the parking concerns, where our tenants and our residents won't have to actually park on the street, but they can park on the parcel that we have. These are the things that we've planned out and put to thought. And so we welcome the opportunity to work with the community to understand what their concerns are. As I said, I focus on the upstate part of our development, and Timothy, who unfortunately couldn't be here, he's dealing with some family issues. He had a death in the family. But we welcome that opportunity to meet with the community and talk. And if I'll be here after the meeting, if anyone wants to talk, and I welcome that opportunity.
I would suggest that you reach out, all the interested parties here, all the leadership is here, and set a date and sit down with you and your partners and have a real discussion about what the potential is. And I think that's the best way to go. Right now, asking for what you're asking is not going to happen. And so I would suggest you sit down and see how can you work with this neighborhood, embrace the history that's there. Look, there's a lot of opportunity in that neighborhood, and there's some challenged areas, as we know, Stark and Cherry, that we also got to get on some of our church folks to start doing something with their property, as we all know. So, I mean, I ride through there every morning. And what I want to see is families running in those streets instead of somebody riding through and dumping their trash in those streets. Because that's what happens every weekend in those empty lots. So yes, we want to see development, but it's got to be development that is thought through and is intentional and is part of the fabric. Because that is a neighborhood that's got strong history. And I think the more that we can embrace that, the more we can come together and talk about what we can do. And maybe it's not multifamily there. Maybe it's multifamily on a corner somewhere. Maybe that's a single family, but maybe that one family makes a big difference and y'all all could be part of it. So I would encourage you, because everybody here cares about this neighborhood or they wouldn't be here. And I think you'll find that y'all could work together if you have conversation.
And Mr. Madden, I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I know one thing that we all hear a lot is when people intend to develop a piece of property and the neighborhood association was not contacted before the planning process and before plans are set in place. And I think it sounds like you're really invested in Columbia and you want to do business and you're doing good business. And I think that it would help council and us get to quicker decisions and your own planning process when building. If the neighborhood association can come here and say they know you already, you sat down, and even if they disagree with what you're doing, I think that process works a whole lot smoother. And we won't necessarily have to have big, long public hearings like this.
Understood.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Ed.
Talking from the heavens.
Yeah, this one of the reasons we wanted to do this is to have that kind of conversation, not only with the residents, but with the developers. They give us a keener sense of what we need to do there, what we need to do with this piece of property. We need a keener sense of moving forward with this effort. And I think the more we talk to each other and this conversation not at each other, that allows it to become a voluminous kind of movement to at least get something to happen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Reverend McDowell.
Mr. Mayor, and to the neighborhood, I'd like to talk to you for a second. This isn't my district, but I don't live too far away from it. And I also, one of my companies is making a pretty substantial investment near the corner of Gervais and Millwood in the old Nuttall building. And I love this area. I mean, I grew up above Mace Park, and my family's business was in West Columbia, so I've driven down this area my whole life, and I've always felt like there's a lot of promise for this area. And I feel like with your passion that you're bringing today, that we can do something with this, for your area. And I really think what we need is a strategic plan. I think this is something and it's something that fits. And it's a strategic plan that values the past, but also values the future. And I really feel like this is something that I would like to be a part of. I would like the entire council to be a part of this. It's so important that we don't continue to leave these areas behind. And it is true that by doing nothing, you do leave the area behind. So you have to do something. But it's important that you have the buy-in from the neighborhood and the community. And I want to I want to be an advocate for you. I want to be part of this process. I want to work with Reverend McDowell. This is his and everybody else on council. And I want to, when I leave this earth, I want to be able to say I made a difference, and I want to make a difference in your area. So whatever I can do to help, I want to help, and I want to be a part of this solution, no matter what it is. So thank you.
Mayor. And I just wanted to add to make sure that we understand too, that this process that we have in place is to protect the neighborhoods. Because I just want to make sure, because I kind of felt that there was a tone we have to keep coming back and begging the city. Yes, because if we didn't have this process, people could, people can come and do what they want to do. So if you work with us, but this is the process. So y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, this is how we protect, or at least give you something, a moment to have some input, because without this, then folks could do, and without even getting your input. So it's not that the city is not listening to you or not, doesn't care about your neighborhood. No, we wouldn't have this process if we didn't care. I see you looking at me with the side eye. I saw that side eye. Who's gonna make the motion?
Can I entertain a motion to defer this until the opportune time that the developer and the neighborhood can come together?
Second.
The motion is second. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The last item on your agenda this evening is a zoning map amendment for 1741 Cushman Drive. It is a request to rezone the property from mixed-use district, MU2, to institutional general district.
Two individuals signed up to speak.
Okay.
Ms. Bernitha Moultrie.
Ms. Moultrie?
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. How are you?
We appreciate you and Mayor Rickaman and Councilwoman Tina Herbert, who we know, well, most of you I've met. And it is my privilege to stand before you on behalf of the property located at 1741 Cushman Drive. And this is your item number 24. And before I make my personal statement, and I think we do have other interested parties here, I'd like to read a statement by one of our educators from Hayward School who was unable to be here this afternoon because of another commitment, if I'm in order. This is from Ms. Deanna Monaghan to the City of Columbia Council Board and members, and I'm stating exactly the way she wrote it. My expressions to the zoning of Allen University Stadium is a warm, welcoming addition to the community area. This is an opportunity to showcase the thriving student growth at Allen University. But most importantly, this should also be an opportunity for the communities located in the area to thrive as well. In order for this to happen, I am asking, with the help of the City Council and reps, to look at the overall picture on how a major cleanup along Two Notch Road, Cushman, and Pine Belt Road would best serve the communities. This major cleanup would involve removal of abandoned structures, run-down structures, and structures that's not serving its purposes to the surrounding communities or reflections upon entering, leaving, or driving within the City of Columbia areas and limits. The multiple auto salvage yards along Pine Belt located near W.G. Sanders Middle School, a middle school with younger youths, or the motel, quote unquote, that no one cares to speak about or acknowledge. Our communities should be just that, a reflection of what the City of Columbia past slogan suggested, where friendliness flows, 2004, 2008, is happening now, 1998, 1999, and a capital place to be rolled out in 1991. And now I hear, per Ms. Monaghan, I hear the phrase, "This is home." In the end, I would like to see business catering to workers like myself, teachers, construction workers, office workers, including Allen University office staff, who have to spend most of their 30-minute lunchtime dodging in and around Forest Acres hubs, only to have 10 minutes to wolf down their lunch. In other words, Ms. Monaghan is suggesting that eateries be placed along that area, or restaurants that would be useful for the teachers and other workers in that area to utilize, rather than sending their monies or increasing the revenue in the Forest Acres area. Okay, and that is the written statement as submitted by Ms. Deanna
Mind
Monaghan.
giving that to the clerk so she can put it in the record. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. And of course, I'm Bernitha Moultrie, Bernitha Lorick Moultrie, from the Greenview and 29204 area. In 1969 or early 70s, my church, the Rehoboth United Church of Jesus Christ, was established at 1912 Cushman Drive. And we also bought a property directly in front of the church in the Belvedere community as part of the annexing to the church. We have since then moved to 3420 North Beltline Boulevard, but we kept the original structure at 1912 Cushman Drive and have renamed it the C.L. Lorick Senior Empowerment Center, meaning that we do have events there such as weddings, baby showers, and our future goal is to expand to include educational opportunities for young people in the area. With that in mind, I'd like to say that we are in favor of improvement, and we believe that the proposal that you have before the council and the community will be a blessing to the Cushman Drive area. But our issue is, down through the years, there has been a traffic problem. We have addressed this with the zoning area, and they did put up a church sign. We were wanting at least a flashing light, because there is an incline coming down from the water tower down to the church that is a blind spot. If you put a stadium there, our interest is where will the main entrance be for the stadium? Because if you use just Cushman Drive, you're going to have a traffic buildup. You have pedestrians that we would be concerned about. So that's my main concern. In addition to Ms. Monaghan, we would like to see general improvement in that area. We do not want to see a stadium built only to be welcoming to, and I'll just be blunt, to sex traffickers and off-color people that will come in at night to try to utilize the area. And so that's my concern. I think we do have leaders from the church, pastor, and also the board, the chairman of our deacons board, if you would like to come up and expand on what I have said.
Ms. Moultrie?
That's not possible?
Right there at the back row is
Yes.
Dr. Doug Taylor. I think he can answer and quell some of your questions and concerns about the
Okay.
development as a whole.
The developer is here? Okay.
The Allen University, the ever Reverend Dr. Dub Taylor, so you can,
Good. Okay, we'd
Join
like to
him.
hear from him.
Miss Sally, who's next? She's got an order, Miss Burgess. You got to listen to the clerk. You might not listen to me, but you better listen
need
to
to
her.
improve this sound system because we
Ms.
can't
Burgess,
hear. It really needs improving.
I have no other individuals signed up to speak.
But
Hold up, sir.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
She just introduced
Yeah.
more than thing. We're in that zone.
This is about zoning. Does that make sense? Just a point of clarification here. Madam Clerk, who do you have in
No
the
other
next?
individuals have signed up to speak. Thank
Ms.
you.
Burgess. I'm sorry, Ms. Burgess comes first.
thank you, thank you. That's why I love you, see? Okay. Now, first of all, I'm going to say, I didn't go to Allen. I'm a Benedict grad, 1966, a long time ago. But my husband graduated from Allen in 1966. So one of us crossed the
So
street.
somebody crossed the street. We're not going to talk about that tonight, Ms. Burgess.
Okay, but I have a couple of questions. Number one, and this is in response, I want you to think about what building a stadium on the corner of Cushman and Two Notch will do for the entire community. And I want you to realize too, that although I didn't go to Allen, I'm a graduate of Benedict, Allen was smart enough to meet with the community leaders of both of those communities and my community, which is way down the street. So they met with Highland Park, with Belvedere, with Jones McDonald, with the Edgewood community, and we all support this endeavor. We are sure that it will improve the entire area. There should be no issues with sex trafficking. That kind of blew my mind. There should be no issues with anything negative going on with such a strong addition to this greater community. Now, I taught the pastor over there, one of my students. How about that? At Keenan, many years ago. I won't tell you how many. But I knew his father, I knew his older brother, and they're all dedicated to the church right around the corner now, but it used to be right across the street. And I'm sure that the members of the church, like the members of the community, will see this as a positive addition to the entire area. And it really bothers me that already the staff has recommended that this endeavor be denied. On what status and on what grounds? I mean, why? So I am sure that as you vote for this wonderful, wonderful project, that you will, of course, support it. Thank you.
Ms. Burgess, thank you for being here, and I need to catch up with you about an issue down by Truman Street at the backside of your neighborhood.
Good afternoon. My name is Diane Wally. Diane Thomas Wally, 4036 Webb Court. My backyard is going to be on the back of it, and I approve this message.
Wait, the crow flies.
I approve this message. My goddaughter put some fingernail polish on me. I got to go back to the place and get it done. I can't take it off. So anyway, that's why I'm holding my hand like this. But anyway, they met with me. I went to the zoning board, and we need this. We need this, a hotel. We need a good, pretty hotel on Two Notch Road.
How about a Holiday Inn?
Go a little higher. Hilton.
I just was thinking motel, hotel, Holiday Inn, but that's just where my brain was going.
Well, we
but-
need this. I have never met the church. I've never met the church. I'm the president of Belvedere. I want to meet with you. Okay. I've never met the people at the church. Some of my coworkers go to the church. But anyway, I have never met with the church. But we need this. We need sit-down restaurants.
And this will help.
Yes, and cleaning up down, I think that's the county. And I need to go to the county meeting tonight.
Well, go on down there and give
No,
them a hard
I got 2 meetings to go to tonight, the county and the
We'll
school
get you a
district.
front row seat if you promise to shake and rattle and roll them a little bit.
I will. Like I say, I'm here to stay. Congratulations. That's our council person. Mr. McDowell, I love you too. But we need this. Allen University got in contact with me. I sent a letter in, and plus I talked. We really need this. Allen should not have to go to a high school football stadium and a college. When I got the information, they wanted to put ambulance service there. No, you only hear football at a certain season. But I have one of my neighbors here, he was concerned, come up here, baby. He was concerned about his taxes going up. So, can you explain that to him?
His taxes aren't going to go up.
He got a letter after we had,
Well, now, I retract my statement because if the county votes to raise taxes, then his taxes will go up.
do with that.
But it's not going to go up.
But he was
because of the
worried,
stadium.
about the sound.
Yeah, the sound.
The sound. And you explained.
Because I stay right in Belvedere.
Yeah, he stay on Belvedere Drive.
I'm right onto the property line where it starts at.
You can speak in the mic, sir.
State
Thank
your
you.
name and address.
Cecil Robinson, 34 Belvedere Drive. The property line where they mark it is right in my backyard. So I don't know how far the fence gonna go from the city property to my property. That's what I want to know. Okay?
Thank you, sir, for being here, sharing.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Wiley,
I didn't finish my time. I got 26 more seconds.
You got to speak fast.
Okay, and I appreciate what you're doing. I heard you was in our neighborhood the other day and you didn't even call me, but that's all right.
That's 'cause I
And
didn't have
y'all,
an
we
extra
getting our
hour.
neighborhood fixed up too. We getting our neighborhood fixed up.
One
Very
step-
good.
One step at a time.
And whoever come in, they better come right.
Yes, ma'am. Just state your name for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Clay Cannon. Mayor Rickman, members of council. I'm the civil engineer representative for Allen University on behalf of the project team for this. Just wanted to introduce myself, to welcome any questions. Certainly Mr. Taylor's here who can address the community outreach. We definitely hear the neighbors. This will be an ongoing collaboration with the communities. There'll be traffic management plans developed. 95% of the time, this facility will be for student athletes practicing day in, day out, things of that nature. So we won't have tremendous traffic impacts, but certainly when events are held, there will be traffic management plans coordinated with the city, DOT, law enforcement officials, certainly help direct traffic for those events. To the gentleman in the Belvedere community, there are certain neighborhood compatibility requirements we're aware of. We have to meet. We're maintaining a 40-foot buffer from the neighborhood. There are certain noise ordinance we have to follow for events. You know, we have to be respectful of that. And so certainly aware of that. This will be an ongoing process as this project's developed. But we look forward to that opportunity. And again, Mr. Taylor's here on behalf of Allen if any questions. Thank you.
Dr. Taylor?
Good evening. I just want to take the second and first of all, to say thank you to the City Council. Thank you for all the support that you give Allen University. Dr. McNeely and myself have gone out and met with the communities. We have met with the community presidents when we were starting this process. and all are in favor. Just think of an institution having to bus its kids at 4 o'clock in the morning to our neighbor institution, University of South Carolina, just to practice football. Think of an institution that pays $1,000 a day in transportation fees just so our student athletes can play. Think of an institution that went 7-3 this year, and over the last 2 years, we've had to bus our kids 40 minutes to a neighboring high school. Put in this stadium where we're proposing will assist and solve that. The economic development impact that this will make on the city and the county is enormous. The support, the jobs, everything, all the good stuff that opportunities like this would bring the community will only make this community grow. We're open to feedback and support of anything from the community. This would be an Allen University project that would set the City of Columbia economic development on that side of the corridor. It would skyrocket it. So we are hopeful that you will approve it, and we are looking forward to working with the community in doing so. Thank you.
Sir, any questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on getting your doctorate. But I do recall when we first met and you had presented this dream, it's really great to see it come to life. And I think this is one of those unique situations where it makes sense to move forward with something like this, even though it may not have been part of the original plan, because there's such strong neighborhood buy-in. And so I appreciate everybody that came out to speak in support, and I'm very supportive and excited to see this come to life.
Yes, this stadium would be like Fort Knox. It'd be very secure. So these concerns will be definitely addressed, and it's part of the planning that we are put forth.
Well, you're welcome to deposit that gold at the City of Columbia. We'll take good care of it for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And Dr. Taylor, I would just add, as a two-time HBCU graduate, I think it's long overdue for Allen University to have a stadium here. I always thought it was a shame that they had that practice at other schools. I played football for a little bit at Hampton University, so I know how it is as an athlete to have your own locker room, your own field to practice and play on. So I appreciate the work that y'all did talking with the community, and it seems like there's buy-in there. And so I'm looking forward to see what Allen University does with the stadium.
Absolutely. Our friends at University of South Carolina, Mr. Ray Tanner and others, have been more than helpful. But it has put a strain on us from a financial standpoint, as well as, first and foremost, our student athletes. But this opportunity will assist in solving those problems.
Yeah, my request would be is that as you continue to develop the plan, think about as game day traffic, and maybe we can help with the signal that Ms. Moultrie was asking about. That's something we probably can help with, but also think about, the ins and out, because we want that. I do think it's a catalyst. We need a shot in arm in that stretch. And I think with that type of investment, and what's going on with the old motel getting converted, we're starting to see it happen right up the street from you. There are 34 businesses owned by women in the Midlands Plaza. We want to continue that growth on both two-notch, all the way from your main campus all the way down. And I think it's very important, and we appreciate you being here without sending somebody, but being here in person. I think it means a lot.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Dr. Taylor. Does anyone else want to speak on this issue?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Mayor.
Yes, Reverend McDowell.
Yes.
Keep thinking somebody's coming from the heavens.
Dr. Taylor, let me ask you a question. I heard your engineer speak just a moment ago. Has there been, or is there in the making, a developer's agreement contract? Sir?
Oh, yes, we currently have our developer, yes.
That was yes, Reverend McDowell.
I didn't hear.
Yes,
So the development agreement contract is for the stadium. Is that correct?
yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. Just wanted to hear that. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ms. Reverend McDowell. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Lorick from the Rehoboth Church, and I stand here today to say that I'm in agreement. I would love to see this project happen. The only concern that we have is the volume of traffic, but I do believe that this will be a plus for the area to enhance the development that's already started. And hopefully that Allen Benedict Court, listen at me, Allen University would be able to place some other buildings on some of the other properties for higher learning to help develop that whole corridor of Two Notch Road. Well, I look forward to it. And, the area is dormant now, and I remember when that area was a salvage company. And I'll be glad to see something come there to enhance the community.
Thank you for being here, Reverend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else have any? Krista? Can I get a motion? Reverend McDowell, you want to make a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Can I get a second?
Second.
A motion, a second. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
That concludes your zoning public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hampton.
Thank you all. Ordinances first reading, Mayor and Council. Item 25, ordinance number 2024-001, authorizing the city manager to execute a lease agreement between the City of Columbia and One Columbia for Arts and Culture for 932 square feet of office space located at the Taylor
Motion to
Street
approve.
Garage.
Second.
A motion and a second. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll? Because I'm not going to entertain any comments.
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 26, ordinance number 2024-002, granting an encroachment to Merv on Taylor LLC Hotel Trundle for the use of the right-of-way area of the 1500 block of Main Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Event resolutions, item 27, resolution number R 2023-095, authorizing consumption of beer and wine beverages only at the Columbia Mardi Gras Festival at City Roots Urban Farm and the 1000 block of Airport
Motion
Boulevard.
to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 28, resolution number R 2023-099, authorizing consumption of beer and wine only at the Chili Cook-Off at the 2100 block of Green Street in the
Motion
7.
to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving into a period of appointments, item 29, city council committees.
So for standing committees structure, for this coming year, we'll have Administrative Policy Committee. That'll be chaired by Ed McDowell with members Dr. Bustles and Mr. Brown, staffed by Ms. Benjamin. Arts, History, Preservation, and Philanthropy, chaired by Mr. Bailey. Members, Reverend McDowell, Ms. Herbert. Staff liaison will be Mr. Simons. Community Development will be chaired by Ms. Herbert, Mr. Bailey, and Mr. Brennan. As council members, staff liaison will be Ms. Gentry. Economic Development and Infrastructure will be Mr. Brown, Mr. Brennan, Dr. Bustles, staff by Mr. Palin. Health, Social, Environment Affairs Committee will be chaired by Dr. Bustles, Mr. Bailey, and Reverend McDowell will be the members, and staff liaison will be Mr. Shealy. Public Safety will be chaired by Will Brennan. Members, Ms. Herbert and Mr. Brown, and this will be chaired by none other than our city manager, Teresa Wilson. I have a motion to approve those committees for this coming year.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 30, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll make the motion that we appoint for this fiscal year, Mr. Will Brennan as our Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
A motion and a second?
The calendar year, fiscal year,
The calendar year?
calendar year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Reverend McDowell. You read the roll, please.
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
And Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Mayor Pro Tem.
Item 31, Citizens Advisory Committee for Community Development.
Well, before we get into that, I'd like to make a motion to defer the at-large appointment.
Did you have a time frame you wanted that? You wanted it next meeting, or would you like to leave it open?
Let's put it on the next meeting, February 6th. Do I have a second?
We have a
Second.
second.
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
And Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye. Is there any other appointments?
I think we're holding.
We're going to hold on all, okay?
Well, no, I'm actually ready for the District 1 appointee.
Okay.
I might like
We'll
to
entertain that
appoint,
motion.
make a motion to appoint Joseph Cernelia to the Citizens
Said that with
Advisory.
so
I
much
talked to him,
confidence.
I just called him Joe, to the Citizens Advisory Citizens Advisory Committee for Community Development.
Do we have a second for that motion? Second. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye. We're going to hold item 32 until February 6th. Okay, and that's my motion. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Bailey, I think you had one on this too, right?
Yes, I have another motion to defer the at-large appointment for the Columbia Prepares Advisory Committee and move forward with the other appointments outside of Ms. Harris.
I'd like to make an amendment to clarify. We're going to hold Sierra Harris, since it's not district-specific, and reappoint, and move forward with reappointments and new appointments. But hold that.
Is that a friendly amendment to his motion?
Yeah, just to clarify, because I think community development is the only one that has district and at-large specific, so we just want to keep one open.
All right. Is there a second to that amended motion?
Second.
Second. You clear, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Amy Husband, J. Scott Gillette, and William Baker, and make new appointments Claudia McMillan and Ralph McCarthy for the Columbia Prepares Advisory Committee.
Second.
Got a motion and a second,
Second.
Madam Clerk?
I'm getting my
All
record
right,
straight.
whenever you're ready, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
No.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
We'd like to make a motion to appoint Jacqueline Marshall to the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second? And that was just one appointment that we needed at this point, correct? Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Moving into a period of city council. Moving into a period on the mic of city council reports, referrals, and new business.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Mr.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Councilwoman Bustles to serve as the Historic Columbia Board Representative as requested by Historic Columbia.
Would you be okay if we do that on February 6th, when we could do all the council appointments? Because we got several to do.
You know what? I am, because I forgot that you told me
I
that we
told
were
you
going to do that. Thank you, Dr. Bustles. I apologize.
We
Thank you.
removed the motion.
I removed that. Removed that.
So you all be ready to address your special committees, any that
We
need
would like to
appointments
try
as
to
well
do
as
that
any
all
of those.
together on the February 6th if possible.
So that we can voluntold Mr. Bailey to join some boards.
We're trying to see how much time we can eat up in his life.
I got plenty of time to spare.
Don't say that too loud.
Don't say that because
Any other council reports, referrals?
I do have a question, Mayor. Earlier, we were discussing a temporary, what did you call it? Temporary,
Moratorium?
no, not that.
Oh, you're talking about the signage? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Do I need to refer that to anywhere? Should we take that up with
I
staff?
think you should take that to the city manager.
Okay, thank you.
Some temporary
Mayor?
signage.
And I'm taking.
Question. I have given all of council, and I plan to look to see how we could put this in the system, but I would like us to consider an ordinance around, to make sure that we put it out for a public hearing, but I definitely would like us to have an opportunity to look at signage for vape shops and, planning ahead if the state does end up getting into legalizing marijuana, so that we have a plan in place as the city of what can be displayed, what signage can be used. And I know we've worked on location, but the signage, and also at the same time would like us to revisit the signage around our liquor stores. It used to be a red dot, and that was all you were allowed. And now we're having poster upon poster. And I think if you go to the corner of Hardin and Rosewood and you look at that store, that is not reflective of who we are, and covering the entire building with advertising. And there's no way that you can see in that store there's safety reasons, and I think it detracts from our communities. So I want to make sure that as we go forward, we allow legitimate businesses to run, but at the same time that they're running with spirit of the neighborhood. Because some of the signs that we're seeing, especially on the vape shops, are very misleading about what they're selling, and they also have consequences to them. And, as obviously the great debate this year at the legislature will be around the gray area around Delta 8, Delta 9, and Delta 10. So we'll stay tuned, but I think we need to do our part to clean up these stores, allow them to continue to operate, but make sure that we get it cleaned up. So that'll be coming to you. I gave each of you a copy. I'd like y'all to look at it, and then I'd like us to get it on the council agenda for a public hearing. Is there any other new business, Dr. Bustles?
Yes, Reverend McDowell, I am referring some stuff to our committee as we had discussed. So we'd like to move forward with, we have several pending items through the administrative committee we would like to meet. I spoke with Reverend McDowell, with the two of us in person and potentially him remote. We would like to go over the food truck ordinance and regulation and guidelines. It's something that we've been discussing. Also want to revisit the signage moratorium and see where we are in terms of that process and how we'd like to move forward on that. And then, was there anything else that I'm missing in terms of?
I feel like there is, but I can't think of it.
There's one other pending thing that I believe we may have referred to committee in
There's several.
December. Okay. So I just wanted to get on record that we've discussed that we would like to go ahead and meet, because we don't want this to become something that we fall behind, especially as we enter budget season.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Reverend McDowell.
can we as an administrative committee convene the committee next month? Can that be deferred into next, because we're regularly scheduled for the end of this month?
You want to go ahead and have a regular schedule for the regular meeting in February?
In February, yes.
Madam Clerk says, yes, sir, you can.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And I'd really like to address the issues that Dr. Bustles raised. She and I have had some conversation about that, and of course have read the email that Peter sent. Thank you so kindly.
You have any other referrals?
I'd like to give a brief update from the Economic Development and Infrastructure Committee. We had two really good presentations last meeting from CORE as well as GROCO. And I think it's super important for the city that we continue to engage a lot of these groups in Columbia and support them financially as well as I guess systematically. We have a lot of good things going on, and there's a lot of young people in Columbia that want to get involved in the process. They want to get involved in making Columbia better, and we want to be collaborative, and we also want to give our support to developing Columbia. Columbia has traditionally not been super progressive, and we want to kind of bring out this entrepreneurial spirit that I know exists in Columbia. So we want to continue to support the Economic Development Committee with Councilman Brennan and Councilwoman Bustles. We're super focused on economic development, but also the development of our folks in the city. And I think we got some really good things going on. So I encourage anybody to continue to help as we support our community in these different ways. Thank you.
I do have just a brief report from the Community Development Committee. We had a great meeting a couple of weeks ago. We heard from HomeWorks, which is a group that we have previously worked with through community development, and the work that they're doing revitalizing neighborhoods and homes. And I think staff will be having a follow-up meeting with them to investigate how we can work further with them. And then we also, I guess we approved and finalized the plan for Town and Gown. And Mr. Brennan wants to thank staff for all of your hard work on that. And also finding a way to make sure all colleges and universities feel a part of the process. And I think that was a big part of it. So we're looking forward to hear that roll out in a few months. I think it'll take a while to get it together.
And Chairwoman Tina Herbert was so gracious enough to invite me to sit at the table, but I was instructed that I was not able to speak. So it was a good time sitting there quietly.
See,
A meeting. I didn't even get to have a meeting without you.
I wasn't going to say that, Tyler. We were glad to have Mr. Bailey observe his first community development meeting.
Anybody else have anything want to add? Any new business?
I just want to highlight, I know that the Health, Environmental, and Social Affairs Committee does a lot of work with addressing some of the homelessness projects that we're working on, and just wanted to highlight Kamisha and her team for sharing with us the story of Mr. Green, who moved into permanent housing. And he is a wonderful story because he battled substance use issues and addiction, and through our wraparound services and all of the hard work that Kamisha's team is doing, we were able to get him into permanent housing and continue those services. So looking forward to your next update, and just wanted to take a moment to commend you all for the continued work, and only being a year in for Rapid Shelter to see so much progress is really amazing.
Anyone else?
I would just like to make a pitch and thank council for their consideration as we're going into budget season, but in advance of budget season, the need to have probably more work sessions, as well as then getting into the budget season with budget workshops. So just for your consideration of your schedules, which are extremely busy, and we do understand that.
Just so
We'll
council
continue.
knows, I have blocked their schedule every other Tuesday from 2 to 5, starting today. So
Okay.
you're welcome. I voluntold you today.
I can't wait.
Wow. Didn't know that, Mayor. In addition to a mini retreat, just a day and a half, it's not the typical retreat that, you're probably, that we've had before, where we get into the strategic, big, broad outcomes, because you've already set those in place. But it is to talk about kind of an economic forecast, some of our big major projects that are still pending, give you some more detailed information and updates on those. So we'll continue to work at that and get some time on your calendars.
And if council would, because of time, I know we're talking about trying to have at least a day and a half, right, city manager? Some feedback of if we do it early in the week, or we take a Saturday out of our schedules and do it then. Let's talk about that as a group. This is very important. There's so much going on and so much progress in a lot of these projects and major developments that we're doing internally, that we want to make sure that we're getting the updated information, but also making decisions as we go into the budget. I mean, this is everything from our economic to our consolidation of offices, our continued programs that we're all working on that are so important to our community. We just got to give some time. So let's talk about that, if we want to do it during the week, or we want to give up a Saturday and just say, hey, we're going to give up a Friday afternoon and a Saturday to get this done, or we want to do a Monday, Tuesday. But if you could get with the city manager, I think she really has a lot of great things to share, but she also needs our input.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council. Any other new business, referrals?
I think
reports?
we're good there. I think we're at the public hearing
Yes, sir.
stage.
At this time, we have Mr. Wade Fulmer.
First, thank council for being at the MLK Park on Monday, MLK Day. It was good to see presence there, and all those teachers and students who are our hope
Future.
and integrity. Back to the animal control, non-enforcement nuisance barking.
Mr. Fulmer, could I just ask you to pull the mic a little bit closer to you, just so we
Sure.
can capture all your words? Thank you, sir.
Sure. Animal control, non-enforcement, nuisance barking, noise. The code is clear. Section 470A, B, and 6. That's all they need to do what they need to stop the dog from barking for 2 years from midnight till 4 in the morning. And since November, there's been 5 times when I've been woke up between midnight and 4 a.m. I ask again, taking it another way. Sure, the code needs to be reviewed. Sometimes I used to work with the Administrative Procedures Act in revising regulations for DHEC and mental health. But the bottom line is, if there are not people in the division who are going to do what they're supposed to be doing, it's not serving the people, it's not quality of care, it's not quality of life. I ask again, why 17 months before a ticket for untimely excessive barking, including after dark until 3 a.m., then only by the efforts of Columbia Police Department's intervention? Why, when 2 more flagrant same violations, there were no tickets? Animal control, non-enforcement, and animal control supervisor said, they won't let us do that. Who are they? This is part of the problem in the chain. Who are they of the animal control chain? Though documented incident reports by Columbia Police, again, and dispatch of 2 years of accumulation of logs and response by dispatch and Columbia Police. Why were the accumulated reports, which were given by Columbia Police Department by officer and captain, to animal control to provide to city legal, why were they withheld? Not given by animal control to city legal. And the reference there, I've been in contact with city attorneys Baker, Rushing, and Thief. They don't know. Nobody knows. Who stopped the ticketing of violations by the Department of Animal Control? Who withheld the Columbia Police Department and dispatch departments and logs evidence which were given to animal control for city legal? This 75-year-old veterans care, health care, and gun laws advocate, constituent resident homeowner, Vietnam Bronze Star PTSD veteran victim, is again asking council to demand answers, tickets by, and accountability of the Division of Animal Control. There must not be any myth or cover, no more obstruction of code enforcement duty, no conflict of interest, free passes for those who adopt pets, and no free passes for repeat violations. No interference with enforcement duties by any organization, chart, chain. Respectfully, determinedly, Mr. Mayor and Council, when will our city hear your answers, your resolution? Why the repeated division of animal control, non-enforcement of nuisance code? And I say this not lightly, and I pass this by people. Why the withholding, tampering of reports, evidence
Thank you,
that was
Mr.
supposed to
Fuller.
get to city legal and has just furthered the problems? I am asking when and for your questions again.
Thank you, sir.
So I noticed that animal control, I'm glad that we're looking at it in a health committee. This is very important. I noticed that animal control is also under Councilwoman Herbert's jurisdiction in some way, which seems to be more the legal part as opposed to we need this because it's also a healthcare thing. So I don't see us getting anywhere if what I would like to see, and being in the business of DHEC, and they have multiple layers, assistant to the deputy commissioner, assistant, all those layers you have to go through and try to get an answer. We don't have that many layers, thank goodness. Somebody can pick up the phone and say to Mr. Anderson, Public Works, over animal control, answer these 2 questions. Why
Mr.
was-
Fulmer, would you like to leave your written comments? Because I believe we spoke prior to the meeting and you agreed to adhere to the time limit.
Yeah, why the tampering with the evidence? Why, who said you can't write more violations just because you've already written a ticket? Last thing, 5 times since October, I have been awakened, one night twice, between the hours of midnight and 4 o'clock. The same dog and the owner and her live-in friend come home from bartending. I don't think I should have to be woke up. If they have to take the dog outside of the house, common sense says you go with him. You don't put him outside the house at 4 o'clock in the morning to wake up the neighbor. That's what I have. I will be back next in 2 weeks, and try to get into a little bit more detail. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I do have one brief question. Sir, I do have one brief question. The last time that a ticket was issued, for, like the last complaint that you had where a ticket was issued, are we talking about 2023, September?
After 17 months,
Listen, no, listen to my question.
okay,
What's the last date that a complaint or ticket was done that for you calling in for something? Was it September 26th?
the last complaint was September the 26th.
Okay.
The one before that was April the 10th.
I just needed that last
All that's
date.
here was January 23rd.
That just needed that last date. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Is there anyone else signed up, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Can I entertain a motion to go to an executive session?
Yes, sir.
I move that we go to executive session. Oh, well, I recant that. I'm not moving. Somebody else will.
Mr. Mayor,
I'd like to make a motion.
I was all excited
You
to
got
get
it,
on
Gills?
to,
Okay.
and Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session for discussion of negotiations incident to propose contractual arrangements pursuant to SC Code 30-4-70A2, Department of Mental Health surplus property, and receipt of local or legal advice which relates to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to SC Code 30-4-70A2, Loomis Fiber of South Carolina LLC franchise agreement, and for transportation penny sales tax review, receipt of legal advice relating to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to SC Code 30-4-70A2.
Got a second? Madam Clerk, can you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Howard would be
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Yes.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell? Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Howard.